Okay, today we are going over 5.3, Translating Parabolas. So let's just do a quick activity to see how standard form is going to convert to the form that we're looking at today. Okay, so here's standard form that we already know from 5.1, 5.2, which is ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so if we're going to look at any of these forms, we want to look at converting it and finding this is the axis of symmetry, right? And we know that from 5.2. This is the axis of symmetry, and it's also the x-coordinate of your vertex. So if we look here, we have our A is 1, our B is -4, and our C is 4. So let's find the axis of symmetry here. Okay, so if we look at this, then we're going to go x is equal to a -4 over 2 times 1. So this is 4 over 2, which is equal to 2. So your axis of symmetry for this is x equals 2. Okay, and then if we look at vertex form, this is a form that we're looking at today, we will notice that our h here is a 2. So it wants to know, what is h in this case? Your h is 2. Continuing here with this one, let's do the same thing. So we're going to do the x equals -b over 2a. So we get a -6 over 2 times 1, and -6 over 2 is x equals -3. Vertex form, if we make this look like vertex form, then we want to have it as x minus a number. So I'm going to write this as x minus a -3 squared minus 1, so that it's written like this. See how it's x minus h? So now it's x minus h, and therefore your h is a -3. Okay, well, let's do one more, and then we'll look at what we're finding here. So again, we plug it into -b over 2a. This is going to give us a -12 over 2 times -3. This is a 12 over -6. 12 over -6 is equal to -2. So x equals -2. And for this one, again, we're going to write it as x minus a number. So we have -3, x minus a -2 squared plus 4. So our h in this case is -2. So if we look at all of these, let's first look at the value of a. See how there's a value of a in both of them? There's a value of a here, and there's a value of a here. So the value of a in this one is a 1. And the value of a in this one is also a 1. The value of a in this one is 1, and this one is 1. The value of a here is -3, and the value of this one is -3. Okay, then we can look at the axis of symmetry. So here we got x is equal to 2. So your x-coordinate of your vertex and your axis of symmetry was 2 for this equation. And look at what the value of h was. The value of h for this was 2, which is the same as your x-coordinate of your vertex, which is also the axis of symmetry. For this one, we got x is equal to -3, and our h here, our value of h, is -3. It's the same thing. They're equivalent. For this one, we got x equals -2, and your h was -2. So that's going to lead us to how we find the vertex form for all of these. So let's take a look at the parent function first. We've graphed the parent function. We know what it looks like. And now we're going to be looking at vertex form. So here's vertex form. And we looked at it a little bit in that little activity there. We need to know this form. So a times x minus h squared plus k. Notice that the value of a here is the same as when it's in standard form. And then your h and k are going to be, that's going to be your vertex. So here's some things about vertex form. So here's the form we just wrote down. And it's going to be going h units horizontally, so whatever this is, whatever this number is, that's going to tell you to go left and right, and k units vertically. This will tell you to go up and down. Your vertex, when it's in vertex form, is h, k, and the axis of symmetry is x equals h. Both things we need to know. So let's try some. Vertex form. This is in vertex form right now, and we're going to find a couple things before we go ahead and graph it. Okay, so let's write down the form first so it's easier to see. We have y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So if we look here, we know that the value of a is equal to -1/2. And we should know that from the previous lesson, 5.2, we should know that when a is negative, we know that our parabola is going to be facing down when a is negative. So we already know it's facing down. Then we can say that h, k, which is going to be our vertex, is going to be 2 because we lined it up. It's x minus, so your h is a 2, 3. That's your vertex. Okay, so your vertex x is 2, 3. We also know that the axis of symmetry is x equals h. So in this case, it's x equals 2. So we're going to graph the vertex, and we're going to draw the axis of symmetry in. Okay, so graphing both of those, we're going to have 2, 3. Here's 2, 1, 2, 3. 2, 3 is right here. Okay, and then we're going to draw in the axis of symmetry. Our axis of symmetry is x equals 2. Here is x equals 2. We'll make our vertex a little thicker so that we can actually see it. And 2, 3, right here. There we go. Now we can see it. Okay, so there's 2, 3. And we can also write that in there. So 2, 3. Okay, so now we have to find some more points. Find another point. And then we're going to graph the corresponding point and sketch the curve. So we can find another point. We can plug in, let's plug in x equals 0. By plugging in x equals 0, that's going to be finding the y-intercept, where it crosses your y-axis. So I'm going to plug that in here, y equals -1/2, and then that's a 0. 0 minus 2 squared plus 3. So I have a -1/2, -2 squared, whoops, that's a squared, plus 3. Sorry, it's so messy. Okay, so simplifying that here, I have a -1/2 times -2 squared is a 4 plus 3. 4 over -2 is a -2 plus 3, which is a 1. So we get the point of 0, 1. So I'm going to go ahead and plot that. 0, 1. Okay. Here's 0, 1 right here. And we know that this point is 0, 1 from just finding it here. And this is also 2 points away from your axis of symmetry. So graphing the corresponding point, we'd go 2 points and then another 2 away. So now we're going to be right here. And we're going to write these points in. So this is 0, 1. And then this point is going to be 4, 1. And then we can sketch the curve. 3 points is enough. 5 is even better, but we'll stick with 3 for right now. Sorry for my bad parabolas. Kind of hard to draw it on this tablet. But you guys get the idea. There it is. We also knew it was facing down, which also meant that 2, 3, which was your vertex, that is also your maximum point. And the maximum would be equal to 3, your y coordinate of your vertex. All right, moving on. Here we go. Now we have to write the equation of the parabola, and we're going to use vertex form. So let's go ahead and start by just writing what vertex form is. So vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. we know that h comma k is our vertex. So plugging in, so here's our vertex. This is h comma k here. So we know that our vertex is 3, 4. And then we have another point, 5, negative 4. So I can plug that into x and y. So if I have an h, a k, an x, and a y, then all I need to do is find the value of a. Once I have the value of a, I'll plug a, h, and k back in. So let's get started. The value of y is negative 4. So I have h and k my vertex, and then I also have the point, another point, x and y, which they give us is 5, negative 4. So I'm going to plug all of these in now. So the y value, negative 4. A is what we're finding. My x is a 5, minus my h is a 3, squared, and then plus our k, plus 4. Evaluating this, I get negative 4, a, 5 minus 3 is a 2 squared, plus 4. 2 squared is 4a. Bringing everything else down here and solving for a. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides here. That will cancel out. This will be a negative 8 is equal to 4a. Dividing both sides by 4, and I get the value of a is equal to negative 2. We knew that the value of a had to be negative. We knew this because the parabola is facing down. When the parabola faces down, the value of a is negative. So we're now just going to take our vertex form. We're going to plug a, h, and k back in, and we'll get negative 2, x minus 3 squared, and then plus 4. And here is our equation of vertex form. All right, let's see what else we got. Okay, so now we're going to convert to vertex form. So right now, obviously, it's in standard form. So let's write what standard form is. Ax squared plus bx plus c. And we want to put it in vertex form. Vertex form is ax minus h squared. This is what we just learned today, plus k. So we know that in vertex form, we need to know what a is equal to, what h is equal to, and what k is equal to. Okay, well, we already know what a is equal to. A is equal to 2. So, a equals 2. We know also that h and k is actually your vertex. So, we also know how to find the vertex when we are given an equation in standard form. To find the vertex when it's in standard form, we use negative b over 2a. This will find our x-coordinate of the vertex, and then we'll plug that in to find the y-coordinate of the vertex. So plugging in, we get negative 10 over 2 times 2. This is a negative 10 over 4. Okay, so plugging in negative 10 over 4, we can actually simplify that. 2 goes into both them, so negative 5 over 2. You can leave it as negative 5 over 2, or you can write it as negative 2.5. All right, so our vertex, we got that started. We have negative 2.5, comma. Now we're going to find the y-coordinate. So we're going to plug this in. I'm going to leave this as a fraction. So I have 2 times negative 5 over 2, which is the same as negative 2.5, squared, plus 10, I'll write 10 over 1, times negative 5 over 2, plus 7. Simplifying this here, I get 2 times negative 5 squared is 25, and 2 squared is 4. We can write that as a fraction also. That's 2 there. And then we have 10 over 2, that will cancel to be a 5. And 5 times negative 5 is a negative 25 plus 7. Okay, simplifying this here, this will become a 2. So let's rewrite this here. I get y equals 25 over 2. Right, the 2 and the 4 canceled here, and that became a 2. We can make everything over 2 then, so that we can add and subtract our fractions. So I'm going to make this over 2 by multiplying the top and bottom by 2. And the same thing here. Okay, so this is going to be a minus 50 over 2 plus 14 over 2. So 25 minus 50, that's going to be a negative 25 over 2 plus 14 over 2. Okay, and then we can simplify that here. So we get our y-coordinate of our vertex. So we're doing negative 25 plus 14. That's going to give us a negative 11 over 2, which is the same as negative 5.5. And that's the y-coordinate of the vertex, negative 5.5. You can leave it as a fraction if you want, or you can write it as a decimal. Okay, so now I know the vertex, I know the value of A, the value of H, therefore, because this is really H comma K, because I know that H and K is the vertex, H is negative 2.5, and K is negative 5.5. So now we're going to just plug all of this in. So we'll plug it all in, and therefore we get y is equal to A is 2 times x minus a negative 2.5 is x plus 2.5 squared minus 5.5. And this is converting it from standard form to vertex form. You could try the next one on your own for extra practice. And that will wrap up today's lesson, 5.3, Translating Parabolas. Thanks for listening.